afternoon, everybody. This is Huge Pop, the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. Today, I have a little bit of a different interview. Today, we have on the screen Herman Professor Bear Cade. He is the president of WSN, the Wrestling Society Network. We're going to talk everything wrestling, fans is wrestling, the channel that they created, Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast, his announcement, everything wrestling. And so, good morning, Professor Bear. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. A little under the weather. My voice is starting to come back. But, hey, when it comes to wrestling, I'm super happy.
Awesome, man. It's a pleasure to have you on today. Thank you for bouncing around your schedule. It's been a hit and miss, but we wanted to get this interview in because there's something big that's going to happen for Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast at WSN. It's going to be fun. So let's start it off with, we were talking behind stage. What was it like for you as a fan, man? Where'd you start? Man, it's got to be, I'd love to hear it, man. I just love to hear it.
All right. Well, I started being a wrestling fan because of my father, Herman Cade Sr. He was a big wrestling fan. And my mother, Mary Cade, of course, husband and wife, you got to do each other's thing that you love. And my dad, he was just such a big wrestling fan, where I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. And Knoxville got a lot of big wrestling history. And pretty much every other Saturday or Saturdays, he would take us to the local wrestling and we would just love it. It was a household thing. And on Saturdays, at 6:05, you learn to shut up because that was Georgia's championship wrestling time. And if you made any noise, any distractions from my father watching that, you would not have, let's just say you wouldn't be able to sit down for a while.
Okay, so out of Georgia wrestling, what were some of your father's heroes out of that?
Oh, man. Thunderbolt Patterson, Ernie the Cat Ladd, Mr. Wrestling #2. Man, the Andersons, you name it, Roddy Piper, Dusty Rose, of course. I could probably sit here and name tons of different wrestlers that we loved and enjoy watching and stuff.
Awesome, man. So as a fan, you got to watch Georgia Championship Wrestling. Is there any other promotions you watched?
Oh, yeah. Getting older, when I got a little older, coming home from school, I always caught ESPN was showing AWA wrestling, and they started showing World Class Championship Wrestling, and of course the WWF at the time would show that, and Continental Championship Wrestling was big here. Man, as a kid, I just soaked it all in. When they said wrestling, I was there for it.
Right, absolutely. So I asked a question. So this day and age, wrestling is so flooded with dirt sheets and social medias and the Dave Meltzers and all those guys and all their opinions. And at times it feels like we're flooded with spoilers, et cetera, et cetera. Now, back in when I was growing up, I was able to be around the first WrestleMania, and you lived for Saturday night's main event, and you couldn't go on your little phone and go, oh, what happened, so do you think that has ruined wrestling for day and age? You think that we had it made back in the day?
Well, I wouldn't say ruin. I would say it put wrestling in a different atmosphere.
Okay.
Like now, I some of the things that I love is, with me so-called being a wrestling expert. Anybody can be that now, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you look at it. I think that some of the best things is to fool us when we can sit and watch, and like ABC is going to happen, and it happens ABC. It's not necessarily that we're upset that it happened. It's more that we can see it and call it happening. We are, as I like to say, we are, when you can fool the wrestling marks, you're doing something. You're putting that entertainment in. And I love to be fooled. Yes, I can sit and watch and dissect the program and think I know everything, but when I don't know, when you can actually fool me, make it exciting where I pop, then I enjoy that. I'm a big being, I'm 50 years old. So me, my style of wrestling is more of the ring economy, just seeing what you can do, tell a story while you're wrestling. I love that. But in the same token, too, I love when you do 450 off the top rope. I, I I'm all over the place, and I think a lot of times that wrestling fans get to trivialize about aspects of wrestling instead of enjoying it, because we're living in a blessed time where we have so much wrestling and we can consume it. And like we were talking about with the territorial days, it was great, but you couldn't consume it like we can today. Like with me living in Knoxville, I can watch uh, the independent show in California, and I can make it easy. Back in the territorial days, you couldn't. The only way you could find out, because we our dirt sheets were the magazines, and they were what, 3-4 months behind.
Right, right, absolutely.
So you know, I where I see fans are tribalistic, uh, I tell them all the time, you need to calm down and enjoy what you have, because it easily can disappear. And enjoy what you have and stop being so tribalistic. If you don't like something, don't watch it. But it's no sense of sitting there trying to rip it apart for every little thing that they don't have control of.
I like the word tribalistic that you used, because that is exactly a frustration as wrestling fans. Because you go on the TikToks, you go on and everybody's, wrestling is for wrestling to be a wrestling fan. You have the right to your opinion, but I think there's too many people that don't like that concept, and they start bashing each other on social media about their own opinion. I wish that we could just get back to the days where we could watch it just to watch it. I mean, because there's no reason, because everybody's picking apart AEW and Tony Khan or comparing whatever. That needs to stop, and we need to concentrate on just watching wrestling. Because they put on probably the best match of the in their last pay per view with Bryan Danielson. That was probably match of the year up to this point. And we need to have, as fans, have our ability to have our own opinions and watch it as a fan and have fun instead of arguing about it. I don't know if that's what you're trying to say.
Oh no, I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. Again, there's nothing wrong with everybody having an opinion, and me and you can have our opinion and have a debate about it, and that's fine. But in the end of the day, I'm not going to try to tear you down because you're an AEW fan and I like WWE more. No, it is silly to me, and again, it goes back to, you have to understand that we are living in such a good era of wrestling, where you can see that the studios are not scared to have wrestling on their channel. And they know they bring in fans. Well, you continue going this route, and then we're going to be back in those days where we're going to be hard pressed to find wrestling to enjoy it.
Right. So that promotion up in Tennessee you were talking about, I think TCW, the one that KWF,
right?
Yes. KWF. My first experience with the independent wrestling promotion was in 2022. I went over to, I seen it was on, I seen on Facebook there's a wrestling promotion in Panama City, and I live in Fort Walton Beach. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm going to go because that's only like an hour away. And I went to Extreme Impact Wrestling XIW, and I went there, and not only is this wrestling promotion inviting, but we're 3 rows deep, and you felt every bit of the storyline, the story they were telling. The energy was amazing, and I walked away from there. I'm still a WWE fan, AEW fan, but my thing is independent, man. They go hard, and it's almost like it's realistic. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
So my
and
buddy was at the event last night. That was his first independent wrestling promotion. He's like, I'm hooked, bro. I'm like, I told you.
well, and I think with independence, you you're more is more fan driven because you're a lot of the guys and girls are either learning their crafts or starting to get in a certain space with their craft, and you get to interact more with the fans, and they know maybe this is the only show they get to see because they don't live in a big city where WWE or AEW or Impact comes. So this is their chance to try to make you a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And I love it. Matter of fact, me and my wife I took her to her first wrestling show, and she loved it. She's just caught up in it, and she enjoyed the atmosphere and everything. And now I get the question, when we're going back, when we're going back. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
it is so much of learning to connect, and plus you may get to see a future star, a future world heavyweight champion in that midst. And you can say, wow, I was there when they broke into the business. I remember when they did this in the business. And it's so fun. And it has a thing for me, it brings me back to my childhood of getting to see, I got to see Ronnie Garvin, uh, Andre the Giant, just different stars before they became national stars, and it meant a lot to me.
Absolutely. And that's the fun that I have with my podcast. I gear it more mainly to the independents. I mean, we'll do some reviews of it, WWE pay per views, etc. But the independent scene is where I focus because I love giving the talent the platform to share their story. And I've been blessed, like Francisco Chiazzo from WWN or WVW down in Florida, and just to meet people like him, Damian Wayne, the guy from Tennessee. I get to meet those guys. And it's just for me, it's a dream come true. Sure, I'd love to have Hulk Hogan on my podcast, but I've I've let these, and it makes me feel good to let these people use my platform to share their stories. So it's been an awesome time. And so I see you chuckle when I said Damian Wayne. Do you have any stories about Damian Wayne?
Well, I actually have an interview with David that unfortunately, and I have to apologize to him and a few other wrestlers that I haven't got those interviews out because of being busy trying to get this get WSN where we want it. Um, and I feel the same way as you as far as giving independent people their shine and their give them a chance to set, put their name out there and people to learn about them. And I think that's one of the things that with WSN we try to do. Um, my partner Brady Owens, who's actually the CEO who started WSN, He started in 2018, and he really had a vision. Well, he learned quickly that he couldn't do it by himself. So come 2021, he put out an ad for co-hosting, and at the time I happened to see it, and I thought about it, and I was like, nah. And I talked to my wife, who was my fiance at the time. We were talking, and I told her about it. She was like, well, you need to do that. You're a good debater. I was like, nah, nobody gonna want to hear me tell stories about wrestling. She's like, please, you'll debate with anybody. If God came down, you would respectfully have a debate with God about something. So I thought about it. Then I finally, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So I sent in my tape to Brady, and surprisingly, Brady hit me up pretty quickly, and from there we've been rocking ever since.
So it's Brady. What's his last name?
Owens.
Owens. All right. So yeah. So WSN is it's called Wrestling Society Network. I believe they're on Roku. There you go. There's the T-shirt. Roku channel. Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast has been asked if they would come on to WSN, and we've been talking, and I will announce that in the future, near future, I hope we will. You guys can see our podcast on WSN, and I'm just I want to talk a little bit about the programming, and can you tell us about your current lineup and what makes each of the people on that unique, and why did you choose people to come on your to be part of WSN? So I guess basically give us an overview of WSN and what your guys' goal is for this.
WSN is, again, it's a vision of Brady's that he wants to have a channel out for true wrestling fans. And we got together with a couple other guys, Tevin and Gavin and Clayton, and we just sat around and thought about what we would do if we had things. We started off as a podcast, and then we're like, hey, one day we're sitting around talking. It's like, hey, we can do a 2K promotion. And we started doing the 2K promotion, and before we knew it, we were getting 5,000 views, 10,000 views. One of the biggest views for a pay-per-view we did were almost, we did 20,000 on YouTube. So we were really excited about that. And then we got to thinking about, man, there's a lot of different podcasters and a lot of different wrestling. Hey, let's do a channel. And before we knew it, Brady had got the stuff up and running, and it's like, man, we got to add more people to it. We're not the only ones. Yes, we consider our stuff good, but there's other people out there that may have a different opinion, go a different way. Let's try to get more creative on there. Hey, all these independent wrestlers, let's try to get independent federations on there so you can see something different. And it's more, hey, there's wrestling comedians. Let's try to get wrestling comedians. So before we knew it, ideas started coming, and we started reaching out to different things. And again, I always say that Brady Owens is why my dreams of being in wrestling is here today.
Awesome. So below us is Rico. He's my co-host on Mondays and Tuesdays. He messaged me and asked me to send him a link if they want. So Rico, this is Professor Bear. He's president of the WSN that we are going to be our stuff will be put on here shortly. So
nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too.
So I just you guys were talking about like the indie wrestling stuff. I was like, I just got to hop on because I got to say, yesterday was the first time I ever went to one of the little indie shows, the KFW over here in Sevierville.
Yeah, I've been there a few times.
Well, that's where I live at, and man, it was crazy. I mean, from the get go, it was just off the chain, and I was like, wow, this is something right here, man. Yeah, the big leagues, they have all the lights, fireworks, the sparkles, but man, they were more invested in the wrestling and putting on a good show.
Oh yeah, that's the show that the first one I took my wife to, and she loves it. Every chance we get, we always try to go up there. And then I've been actually blessed to meet the owner and his daughters. Man, they're just super cool people, really friendly, and I just, like you said, I love it because they cater to the fans, even though it may be 200 people in there, they make you feel like it's an arena. You
Yep.
get invested in it.
Yep. I actually, my son works with the owner, so that's how I was able to even find out about this and go see it. I went there, I was like, man, this, and then finding out Billy Corgan, I was like, oh, he was there too.
Oh
Yeah.
It was just amazing, man. I was so excited. The whole show, there was no, oh man, I'm kind of, because there's times where I record Raw or SmackDown or AEW, and I just end up fast forwarding some matches or even some promos. And I didn't get bored at all. It was excitement from the beginning to the end.
And
Are you
that's,
hooked?
oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
yes.
was gonna say, that's where I always try to tell people, no matter where you live, go check out your independent promotions around there. Even just once, if you're not even big into independent, I guarantee you'll come away with something from them. And the support that we give them is, you will not believe how much is appreciated. And you never know when your next Stone Cold Steve Austin is coming from your area.
Yep. And I gotta say, the daughters that wrestle, they put on one heck of a show. They really did.
Oh yeah,
That KFW, that's something to really pay attention to. Anybody who's in the East Tennessee general area.
I tell you what, one day we're gonna have to link up together and go together and record it.
There you go.
Oh, definitely, man. I know they have a show coming up in Newport, I believe in June.
Yeah.
I'll find out about that one.
There you go. Man, make the connection, Rico. You and Professor Bear can meet up and do an episode of Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast and do something. So that sounds fun.
Oh, we'll make it happen, man.
Oh yeah.
So now that Rico's on the phone here, let's talk a little bit of current wrestling. So WrestleMania, are you satisfied with Cody Rhodes finishing the story?
Yes, I am. I'm very satisfied. I think that now we're at that point of the story. He completed his story, SAG, and it's always that when you have a babyface finally conquer the heel champ, there's a little lag in his support because, okay, that story is finished. Where do we go here?
And that's what I was saying. We talk about this repeatedly on our podcast. It seems like if it's not an interview on Monday or an interview on Tuesday, we talk about this repeatedly. And I agree with you. That SAG that you say, it dies. Now what do we do? And that was my thing. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want the story to finish. Because what do we do? What are you going to do with him? And unfortunately, I still don't know. Unfortunately, I see SmackDown still going with the Solo Sikoa, Tonga, and that bloodline story. But where's Cody Rhodes at? And I'm not. So I don't know.
He's still going to be relevant. That's the scary part. Is like, man, did he just lose his momentum? Dwindle down a little bit? I don't think so. Look at his first title defense. It's going against none other than AJ Styles. Just that name alone, man. He's going to keep the momentum going. But of course, the bloodline's always going to be there. But without Roman, I don't think it'll be as big. Not saying it's going to lose the momentum it had, but without Roman, it's not going to be what it was until he comes back.
Well, I agree with both of y'all. I think that when you put AJ in a match, you're going to get a great match.
Yes.
The only problem I find in it is that you've devalued AJ so much that now it's like, oh, well, AJ hadn't beat anybody. How many times has he lost to LA Knight? So it's like, you know, it's going to be a good match, but it's not the mega match that it could have been or should have been. And with the bloodline, I like that they're going in a different direction. It needs it. And it gives Roman time to come back as a face. It gives Solo the chance to step in the forefront. I like the storyline. I think, too, SmackDown needed a face champion so some of the heels can breathe and do some things. So, I mean, with everything being said, I'm okay with it. I guess it goes back to, like I said earlier in the interview, man, if I can see it coming, it's okay, but it's just not that great. I'm waiting for something for them to fool me.
Right. And see, that's what I'm saying. And I'm a bloodline guy. I love the bloodline. I think it's great that Solo is getting that front that publicity, that front guy. You know, I like that. But to me, it seems like it's missing that huge pop moment. Even Cody Rhodes, it's missing that huge pop moment. When is that going to come? And WWE is pretty good at giving that moment, but we just have to be patient as fans to get that moment.
That so true. And you know, we one of the things that WWE is doing now that is really, I think, is very smart is taking their lower card pay-per-views and taking them overseas where fans who don't get the opportunity to see it are gonna love it. They can put on a broom versus broom match and the fans will pop because it's their first time getting to be live with them. So
right. You know, Enrico was talking about the indie promotion, his first time, he got hooked. Your first time, your wife's first time, she got hooked. My first time, we got hooked. Then we talked about AJ Styles. AJ Styles was in the indies earlier. I mean, they all went through the indies, and man, someone noticed him. He went to CWF, the Christian Wrestling Federation. He was there as well, and you know, all these indie guys, Damian Wayne, you know, and I didn't realize one of Damian Wayne's opponents back in the day was Adam Pearce. And they shared the ring numerous times from what I see on Facebook. So, you know, just those guys like Adam Pearce is now on the big show. You know, Damian Wayne, 52 years, I think 52 some years old. Man, that guy can still go. He said back in December he was going to retire, but well, guess who showed up in April? Still raring to go. Guess who's putting out videos? Raring to go. It's just that thing of independents promoting these superstars. I mean, one of the people that we cover is Controversial Inc. from Puerto Rico, La Brava. You know, they're in the NWA. They're all and they work, and that's the thing I like about independence is it's not just come on NWA. They're working it. They're on the road and they're traveling, and I mean, they're impressive. You know, it's a job to them, and some of those guys you better watch out for. August Artois, who's down here in Florida, you better watch out for that guy. He's kind of edgy, but he's coming up. You know, so it's pretty cool.
Well, and then one of the things I love, you mentioned AJ, and you know, a lot of people never knew AJ before he got to the WWE, but the body of work that AJ had built was amazing. And that's what again, like you said, you get to make a name for yourself and build yourself. Like a lot of people don't realize that Adam Pearce is a 5-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He made a name for himself in the NWA. He carried that promotion for a number of years, and they just see him as a GM. But he is an amazing, amazing talent that if you did some research and go back, you will see like one of my favorite matches with Adam Pearce was him and Colt Cabana battle over the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. They just tore houses down. And if you are a casual fan, do a little research, Google. You would be surprised, and you can learn so much about different wrestlers and things that go on in wrestling that's not necessarily WWE or AEW or Impact. They have so many different vehicles out there to build their name, to bet on themselves. Just like Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, man, he was the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion in their history. And he went to TNA, changed to Impact. He was their world champion there. He has history before and after the WWE. WWE may be the biggest, but they're not the only.
No, you said exactly right. You know, like a lot of people, when AJ came into that Royal Rumble, I was watching with a couple of buddies, and they're like, "Who is this guy?" I just turned to look, like, you don't know who AJ Styles is, man? Like, come on, bro! Like, this guy is insanely good. You know, and you nailed it with Adam Pearce. Everybody just looks at him as a GM. He is underrated, man. That guy is good. But they just look at him like, oh, he's the one who makes matches. That's all he does.
Oh, and Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis, man,
another one.
Got the NWA where it is today. And again, I can have a debate with anybody, but if it wasn't for Nick Aldis and his 3-year run with the NWA, Billy Corgan would not be where he is today with the NWA.
Yeah, true.
Very true.
Very true. Very true. So factions. I got back into wrestling when NWO came. Would you say NWO compared to the Bloodline? Would you say one was better than the other, or was it pretty close battle?
I would say the Bloodline is better than the NWO for two reasons. One, they kept it small group. When the NWO ballooned up, it lost what it is magic to me. And two, because of how the Bloodline went for titles, they had the top heel and the top guy and the top tag team. They all held the titles together. And the NWO, you didn't know what they really wanted, because 1 minute it was titles, then next minute it was just a thing to serve Hogan, then the next minute it was just the name value, then the next minute it was hauling that. It just, the storylines kept going so many different places with them, and they didn't end it when they needed to. They oversaturated the NWO.
That's where the red and black came in, and I thought that's where it began being stupid. So I agree with it being smaller, paying attention to the titles, having one focus. That was getting the titles. So yeah. So now back to the WSN. How do you view the wrestling industry evolving in the coming years, and how do you think your network is planning to adapt to that?
Well, I think that we try to stay on the cusp of everything. Not saying that we know what's coming up next or anything like that, but being the wrestling fans that we are, we always like certain things and we listen. We try to put more content out there and watch different things and not become stale or won't give a chance to people. Again, I think and it's a big thing too when you trying to start something like this. There's sometimes you have to say no, and it's not personal. It's not that we don't like it. It's just maybe it's not the right fit right now. It may not be what we're looking for, but that shouldn't stop you from being a wrestling fan or doing your thing. It's just it's our opinion. And again, we just try different things and be where we can. This is like for me, this is like a full-time job. I was up honestly, I've been sick the last 4 or 5 days. I still did interviews. I was still up trying to get videos. I'm still trying to contact promotions. I try to put in the work so us as wrestling fans can enjoy what we are putting out. Brady, he's constantly doing different things, coming up with different ideas, constantly trying. Um, our other guys, they're trying to hold down full-time jobs and put their input into it. So I think the main thing is the love of professional wrestling for us.
Okay. So Rico and I love feedback. So I anticipate that you and Brady have looked at our stuff. What did you see that you liked, and what did you see that you could add feedback to us so we can make our product better, so we can be on your channel?
Well, to be 100% truthful, me and Brady hadn't had a chance to talk a lot
Okay.
because of different things going on with me being sick. But one of the things that drew me to y'all product was the independence. I love that your independence focus. You do talk WWE and AEW, who don't. But I love the energy that y'all do, and y'all are. I can tell your passion.
Thank you.
And that's something big for I know Brady also is the passion. You know, yes, you can come up with um, backgrounds and do more lighting and all that, but if you don't start with a passion, honestly, we're not even going to pay you too much attention. And your passion shows. I know a lot of times I will get on something and I stumble words and I start looking over this way. And it's a learning experience to focus on the camera, focus on things, learn to pronunciate better. But my passion shows, I believe. Um, am I professional? No. Can I get better? Yes. Will I get better? Yes. I'm definitely better than when I started out, but I have room to grow, and I'm never too big to hear criticism or and to learn. And the one thing I've definitely learned not to take things personal. If you give me a criticism and I'm mad at you and can't take that and try to hear what you're saying, then not only am I diminishing my growth, but it's silly because we're all fans. And again, why not try to help the next man to make all of us better, to boost our programming?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I know Rico would appreciate that too. And we try it.
Yep.
This is our passion. I'm a foster parent for my real job. Rico works at Spectrum Cable. And when we do our shows, it's like an escape from reality. When I watch wrestling, when I go to the independent wrestling promotion in Panama City, that's 3 hours of escaping reality to get that stuff that's in your life out of, just to put it behind you. Because working with foster kids and dealing with the parents of foster kids and all that garbage that goes on with it, Rico, man, he's going through some real life stuff. We all go through that, and to step behind that camera and talk wrestling, it's like escape, and it makes you feel good. And to do that is just that's where I get. That's what drives me. That's my passion that drives me to do this show. It's just like plus why not do the independents? Like you said, everybody's doing WWE, AEW. I mean, I could go on TikTok today and see 15 people that streamed WWE SmackDown in the draft last night. And I'm like, no, I mean, let's give these because you don't see very many independent wrestling promotion podcasters out there. It's just not. And I'm like, that's what Rick and I said. That's our goal.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Again, everybody's trying to find a niche in wrestling. If anybody comes with a realistic new thing, it really is not new because wrestling is a tread. Everything is treaded. We've done it before. We've seen it. It's just maybe a different coat of paint or a different way of saying it. But if your passion's there, if you look, man, we could sit here and I could tell you some stories about the blessings I've had of meeting wrestlers and having fun with wrestlers. You know, like you said, we all have things going on. Nobody wants to tune in to hear my sad story about what's going on with life. They want to escape that. How many wrestling fans do you know that just can sit and talk about wrestling for a long period of time? Because it's like you said, an escape. And it's so good to get with people that enjoy that knows your passion, that just when you think of wrestling, at least when I was younger, and I would tell my friends about wrestling, oh, you this, you that. And I felt kind of isolated, but then to know there's other people out there that have that same love and passion, man, it's a brotherhood, a sisterhood that nobody can step in. That's why I'm so passionate about people ruining that. Man, you have a bad day, that's cool. If you don't like something, that's cool, but be mindful. We don't want to lose what we use to escape life.
Right. Absolutely. So can you provide like an overview of wrestling program that's offered by WSN then?
Yeah, we have comedy wrestling. We have action figure wrestling.
Really?
Now, and I tell you that the action figure, once you get into it, it transports you to a different world where you're like, I'm sitting here watching them use action figures and I'm drawn into it.
All right. Hey.
We have, like I said, other content creators like yourselves. They give their view of different types of wrestling. You know, we got blood. You got hardcore wrestling. You got a niche for that. We got a niche for family-friendly wrestling. We're working on just a lot of different things. We got documentaries. We got wrestling documentaries. We got wrestling stories about certain wrestlers. We got history. If you're not like me and know so much, you can go on our channel and learn history. It's so much different things that if you're a wrestling fan, I would be very surprised that you can't find something that is going to make you want to turn back and watch and learn. Hey, we even got my man Brady. I always big up Brady because he helped me see my dream and be in it. But Brady has found wrestling like Tough Enough. We have original programming for people trying to be wrestlers. It is amazing. Like I said, it's so much content we have, and we don't even have 30% of it even out yet.
Wow. I know you guys are covering CCW from Florida.
Oh yes, CCW, and that's some of the things like we were talking about independence, and you might get to see. Well, CCW, they have Dusty Rhodes, they've had Gold Dust, they've had Cody Rhodes. The Wolverine, AEW's Brian Cage. They have so many different people, and like I said, we got so much different things. It is so much, and you can watch it at your time frame. And there's one thing that I love about it is that you can watch it on the big screen on your TV, and you can, if you have kids, you have stuff that are kid friendly that you can watch with your kid. If say you're not a wrestling fan, we even have a few things to help you look at it that I think is very interesting. So it's not saying we have it all, but we have a lot. And I think once you get started, you're going to be hooked.
Awesome. Rico, you got anything?
No, I really don't, man. I actually have to jump off. It was a pleasure being on with you guys. I was listening. I was like, I got to jump in. But I actually have to get off. I got some stuff I got to get taken care of. We got to meet up. We'll link up and do this again.
All right. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to Rico and the professor, man.
Yeah, definitely we'll hook up. You and Severe in Knoxville, man. We will link up and make some things happen.
Oh yes, definitely.
There you go.
You guys take it easy, man.
All right.
Thanks for jumping in, man. Thank you. Love you.
Love you.
Maybe did we get a round coffee table?
No.
We didn't get the round gray one?
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to come tell them they got a black one.
Okay.
All right. So I will let you get. I know hey man, this is what I love. That's what I do. But I wanted to get on here.
Well, hey, that was my baby. She's the boss of the house. So hey, I'm Professor Bear. That's the boss.
I'm Huge Pop, and that's the boss on the other side of this platform here. So I get it. But I wanted to jump on here real quick for we've done 48 minutes. Man, I'd love to be on. I'd love to come on and just talk wrestling maybe in May.
We will work something out.
And I just want to say thank you to you. Thank you to Brady for accepting Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast onto your network. The fans of Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast, if you're listening and you'll watch this later on, hopefully by May, hopefully we can be on the WSN by May. I don't know if that's is that realistic?
Oh yeah. Before the end of May, you'll have your stuff on. I guarantee that.
Awesome. So, but no, continue watching. You heard it from the Professor Bear. CCW, comedy wrestling, action figure wrestling, which I'm going to go to actually check out. Documentaries. Everything a wrestling fan needs. That's what drew me to WSN. To be honest with you, it's a wrestling channel, but it's pure just wrestling. You got a lot of other channels that are on Roku that have wrestling, sports, whatever. But to find a channel that's just solid wrestling I'm like, man, that's so. I don't know. I can't remember how we got hooked up, but I'm glad we got hooked up. I'm glad this happened. I'm excited for the future of WSN. I'm excited for the future of Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast being on WSN. And I look forward to talking to Professor Bear another time. But
hey, I got the dip out. But hey, keep in mind, Hugh, y'all are definitely gonna be on, and we'll talk again next time. All right.
All right, man. Take care.
All righty.
Bye.
All my dogs, make some noise up in this house. Who is
is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind, cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind, cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out.
Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with the devil, because when he's dealing with you, you cannot get on this level.
Fight with Adrian Whisper, it's like a fight with a king. It's like a fight with an army, they got the tanks and everything.
He's leaving bruises and stitches, possibly leaving you crippled, cause when he sets up the table and sends you straight through the middle.
6 sadistic free, beat that ass with a light bulb. Leave a piece of glass embedded in the back of your skull. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the ground, cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the ground, cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out.